It's really neat because there are baits out on the market right now that are kind of attached to certain anglers, and they've kind of made a career by them. Whether it be Kevin with a spinner bait, Denny with a jig, and I can go on and on and on. But the neat thing is I've been labeled the frog guy. I mean, that's kind of my deal right now. You can see I got Kermit everywhere around here on my pants and on my short. It's kind of become part of my identity. And people can relate to that because they look at that, they look at the frog and they think of me. And I try to make it exciting out there on the water, and it's a pretty exciting deal because everything's visual, and a lot of people have fun stories because everything is so visual, and you can see the explosion. And so how the frog came about was a deal where I'm going to give you a little story here on how it all came about. Back in Lake Havasu, I was fishing with a good friend of mine, and we were kind of going along the bank, and there would be some overhanging trees. Well, this technique was taught by another guy who showed him, and he would take a frog, and for him it was a game to see how far he could skip the frog back in the tree. Okay, he didn't care if he caught anything; he just wanted to see if he can get it back there, because it was weedless, it didn't get hung up. So we're going along, and he fires this thing back in there, skip all the way back in the bush. He's sitting there popping it, shaking it, this and that. And then, nothing happens, so we go to the next tree, he fires in there, and he gets two twitches, and boom! Big old 4-pounder comes out of there, just, wallering, and he goes, I got her, Dean, I got her. I'm like, oh, it's a fluke deal, man. That dang frog, I don't think it'll work, it's nothing. Yeah, that's a nice one, isn't it, Dean? I go, yeah, it's all right, it's nice. So we go down, man, I mean, he's skipping again. I mean, I ain't catching nothing. We pull up another 50 feet, he skips it back underneath the tree, and he gets one twitch on it, and boom, and I'm thinking, I'll be damned. Look at that. And then the wheels started to turn. Because I can't tell you how many times back east where we've been to where the lakes or rivers that we go to, we've had overhanging trees. You can't get a bait back there. And he just showed me how I can do that. So that was the very beginning of frog fishing for me. I bought some sumo frogs at that time. I had to modify them because they're heavily flawed in the sense that they don't hook the fish as well as they should, but it was the best on the market at that time. And so I started messing with it, and I got really good at it skipping. And then, but he kept telling me, he says, you can't tell anybody, you can't show anybody, you can't do this because so-and-so is going to kill me because this is top secret stuff, you can't do anything. I'm like, okay, I won't say anything, So we get out, this is right when the E50s first started, and overhanging trees, and every time I saw that, man, I go, God, I get my frog out. And I'd skip it up underneath there, and I'd just get these huge explosions, and I'm thinking, oh man, but they're going to put me with an observer, somebody's going to see this, and I'm freaking out. And so at that particular time, they were on it, and then I did so well, I made the finals with it, so they put a camera with me. And at that time, I was like, I can't just put it away, and just lie down and just take a beating here and just lose, So I decided at that time I was gonna show everybody what I was doing, and I finished, I don't know, third or fourth in that one, and then a month later was the Bassmasters Classic in Charlotte on Lake Wiley, and I had been throwing the frog a couple years prior to that, and I would tell my amateurs, I'd say, look, do not say anything at all. Of course, they weren't going to say anything because they were like, I cannot wait to get home to try this, because they saw what was happening, they saw all the fish that I was catching on it. But at that classic is when Kermit evolved, and that's when it was pushed to the forefront, and that's where the craze started. And I'll give you the coolest little story here. We were at the classic, and this is when Talk and I were duking it out. All right, I had 35 spectator boats. He had 35. He was in first, and I was in second after the second day, and we're duking it out, going at it. And our two boats came together because we're fishing the same water, and his armada and my armada just kind of gelled into one, and all you saw were boats. And you know how it is on Wiley with boat traffic. I mean, there's just boats everywhere. So we're sitting there, and I'm watching Talking Heroes coming right at me, and I don't want him to see I'm throwing the frog because nobody knows, except a couple people, but I didn't want him seeing it, so I put it down. And so I picked up a crankbait, and I'm kind of working it, and I'm watching him. He's coming around the point, and he's not very far. He's about 50 feet in front of me. And I watched him flip up into this bush, 3 or 4 times with a jig, And so he didn't catch anything, so he kept moving towards. So we were coming together like this, right? And, of course, when we were coming to, everybody else was just kind of gelling together, And so we went, and he kind of go, "Hey, Dean, how you catch them?" I said, "I just got 2 or 3 at the time. I forget what it was." And he goes, "Oh, I only caught 2 also. So, okay." So I just waited for his engine to pass my engine, and I picked up my frog, and I made one skip all the way up underneath the tree, and I got one twitch on it, and it just went kaboom right after he just fished it, kaboom, and it was so bad that the people were screaming before I even set the hook because it's such a loud. Everybody watched it. They watched the frog go all the way up to the front or into the tree, and as soon as the explosion, everybody goes, "Oh my God, oh my God," and I just rear back and all you hear is braid going through the guides, and just screaming, and put a 3-pounder in the boat right behind him. Dude, that is like, if there's one way to get at an angler on the water at all, is to catch a fish behind him that he missed. I mean, that's like